Well, at least 1.5 million Texans can finally watch the Longhorns on Longhorn Network. Yeah, guys, I didn't make a thoughts after the game video last week about New Mexico State, mainly because I, like the rest of the Texans, wasn't able to see the Longhorns because it was on Longhorn Network. I will say just briefly about my thoughts on the game going into BYU, though. Pretty pretty borderline irate about the first half. 0-0 at the end of the first. Then they scored first, 7-0 New Mexico State. We didn't score a touchdown until about 2.5 minutes left in the second, 14-7 at half. But during that time, I was frustrated because I couldn't see the game. I was listening to it on the radio. I was watching the Clemson Georgia game at the same time. I had my buddy texting me about this is rough, guy. We don't look good right now. We're making a lot of mistakes. Just so many turnovers. We're getting stopped by New Mexico State, which should never happen, especially when it's Texas. But then, of course, we did end up scoring like five touchdowns in 16 plays, which is good. It shows us explosiveness. We can make big plays against New Mexico State. You're not going to get that kind of production against teams like Oklahoma and TCU. So, what does it show me about the team? We ended up winning 56-7. I mean, it's probably the most disappointing 56-7 win I've ever seen the Longhorns be a part of. I mean, they showed off their talent. I mean, we've got so much talent in the backfield. Dajay Johnson is going to be our game record this season, like I said in my previous video, and he showed it last week. Malcolm Brown's legit. Jalen, or even running Jalen Overstreet, who's one of our backup quarterbacks from Tatum. He's going to be one of our fifth running back, and he got quite a bit of touch there at the end and played well. Jonathan Gray, he's going to be good. Mike Davis, just hold on to the football, you'll be fine. Jackson Shipley, and then David Ash, though. David, I think he's a good quarterback, but you can't throw any more end zone interceptions. He did it again. Had a great game at the end, 4 touchdowns. Had a running touchdown for like 60 yards, which was weird looking. But they end up winning. So looking ahead now to BYU. This is the game that I'm much more excited to see Texas play in, because we're going to play against a real defense in BYU. Is it going to prove everything about Texas if we win? No, because Texas should win. Texas should have the athletes. Texas should have the execution, and Texas should win this game, even if it's on the road. BYU lost last week on the road against Virginia. I know that it was like in a rainstorm. They ended up having the game won, turned the ball over late, and Virginia ended up scoring. So when it comes to this game, I'm not sure how much we're going to learn about this Texas defense, because BYU is really not built on a strong offense. They're going to run the football. They're going to try to do ball control. They don't really score a whole lot of points. They usually just want to, get about 6-9 points ahead of you, then sit on the ball. Their defense, however, is legit. That's what they've been priding themselves on for the last couple. They should have beat us last season in Austin. But this year, I do believe this is a better Texas team, and BYU may be a little more down they were than last season. But it's on their turf at the altitude. I want to see how these athletes that I've been touting and all these Horns fans are excited to see does against a good defense like BYU. Once again, is that going to prove much going into TCU, Oklahoma State? No, but it can prove a lot of bad things, though. What's frustrating this last week in that first half against New Mexico State was the fact that we've seen Texas struggle against bad teams before. But my attitude, and this should be the attitude almost every season, but especially this year, and a lot of Texas fans feel this way. This season, there is no excuse for Texas to be a bad team this year. Absolutely no excuse for week after week. When I watch the Texas Longhorns, I should expect excellence on the field. Does that mean they're going to go undefeated and win every game? No, though most seasons it has, or win 10 games plus. But I better not see a Texas team struggling to score, especially when the opponent is so far below them. And even against good teams this season in the Big 12, though the conference is pretty down, as you can tell from last week, there's no excuse this year. There's no youth excuse. There's no new coach's excuse. There's nothing. There's no excuse this season for Texas to not have a great year and compete for a conference title. If at the end of this season we're not in the thick of it, changes will be made in Austin. But like I said, they turned it on. 5 touchdowns in 16 plays. Ended up winning 56-7. Everybody's happy. Let's do it against a real team. You learn absolutely nothing against New Mexico State. BYU, you'll start seeing a little more of what this Texas team really is. Then against Ole Miss, you'll learn even more. Then K-State, Iowa State, Oklahoma, though. Once the game against the Cotton Bowl is done, that's when we'll know what kind of Texas team we have this season. And if it's not a good one, there's going to be problems in Austin. Looking forward to the game this weekend. Texas BYU on the road. Finally get to watch the teams with my own eyes this Saturday. So hook 'em horns, Texas fight, and let's beat BYU. And let's make it look good, too.